Hey guys, look back to an episode of Quips with Steven Seagal. I'm your son MHG, and this time, Steven Seagal is...
To get this thing in order, we need somebody that can successfully take out the next guy who comes up.
Condor is the best.
Make him a perfect weapon.
The perfect weapon. Although, really, Johnny Mesner is the real perfect weapon, because even though Steven is on the cover and on the back of the box, he's barely in the movie, and he's in like 5 or 6 scenes. So, yeah, we're going to get to these movies, and we've gotten to these movies to the point where either Steven is the main character, and he is fucking god-awful, and he makes you want to kill yourself, or he's barely in the movie, and he's, like, the only person that, like, is a recognizable name in the movie. But he still doesn't give a shit, and he doesn't care. And this movie, although, I will say, this movie is definitely not the worst Steven Seagal movie I've ever seen. It's definitely not good. And, yes, there are a couple things you can laugh at. Yes, the movie can kind of be ironically enjoyed a little bit. But overall, the film is just kind of boring. I mean, the acting is terrible. The writing is terrible. The dialogue is terrible. The lighting is terrible. The sets are terrible. Everything about the movie is incredibly low budget and bad. It clearly feels like everybody in the movie phoned it in, especially Steven. Especially, like, nothing against Johnny Mesner. I'm sure he's a great guy. Probably. But, dude, you are not a good actor. In this movie. You're not a good actor in this movie. Maybe some of your other work is better. Maybe it's the director's fault. Maybe it's not your fault. Because, I mean, Sam Jackson is a great actor, and he's terrible in The Revenge of the Sith. That isn't his fault. That's George's fault. So, yeah. But, yeah, this film is just, God, like, okay, so it's just so predictable. You know what I mean? This film is just so predictable. Like, everything that happens you can see coming from a mile away, except for one thing, and I'll get into that later. Into the Steven section of the Steven Seagal review. But yeah, this film is essentially about... I thought it was going to be a cyberpunk movie, but unfortunately it really wasn't. So this film, I really expected it to be a cyberpunk movie from the first, like, couple scenes, but it really wasn't. It was more like a action spy, like action spy assassin movie, and like, because him being the perfect weapon, and they built the perfect weapon, I thought they, like, literally built him, like he was, like, he had cybernetics, like cyberpunk. Yeah, but he didn't. I thought he had cybernetics, but no, I guess they just, like, brainwashed him and, like, you know, turned him into the ultimate weapon by, like, brainwashing and grueling training and I guess stuff like that. But I don't know, like, what makes him the perfect weapon. I mean, he just seems like a guy who can shoot a gun, who can punch people. Doesn't really seem that perfect to me. But I don't know, this guy is just not the perfect weapon. And then, like, this film, as I said, is just so by the numbers, by the books. It is so fucking predictable. Because there's a scene... Well, not a scene. There's just the whole story, pretty much, is about the main guy, Johnny Mesner, trying to, I guess, take down State Farm, which is actually what they're called. Their name is State Farm. The bad guys. He's trying to take down the bad guys with his love interest. This film's kind of like a love story, too, which is kind of weird. With, like, his love interest lady. But eventually, like, he goes around... running around fighting people and running from the bad guys, and eventually the bad guys capture him, but then it's revealed that the controller, or I guess, like, he was, like, his project, which, what that means, I don't know. They never really explain it. I guess he is the one who brainwashed him, I suppose. He's, like, his manager. But yeah, so he saves him from the bad guys, and then he takes him and his love interest to like a rebel base, like a rebel hideout. So they take him to this rebel hideout, and eventually they plan a thing to take down Steven. So it's led to believe that Steven is the big bad guy, and he kind of still is a bad guy. But then he goes to Steven, and he gets his ass kicked, because of course Steven can't ever lose a fight, even if the movie isn't about him. Of course. He beats his ass, and then he shows him that really the controller and the girl were the bad guys, and that they were tricking and manipulating Johnny Mesner into killing Steven Seagal so that the controller can get in power, so he can take over his spot and I guess be even more tyrannical than Steven is. But eventually, Johnny Mesner, Steven shows it to Johnny Mesner confronts them, he kills them, and then Steven's like, I need you as my new controller. You know, I need reliable people like you. And then he stabs Steven Seagal, which actually really surprised me. I think that's the most damage I've ever seen Steven Seagal take in any one of his movies, except, like, the top number one is him dying in executive decision. By the way, there was I just want to mention this. Like, the knife was so small. It was like this little switchblade, and it just like, yeah, the blade was like this big. It was like super tiny, and like he like stabbed him in the gut too. He didn't like stab him in like the neck or like anything. He stabbed him in the gut, and like obviously with how fat Steven Seagal is, that would have never penetrated like into his internal organs. It never would have worked. Right? He's too fat for that to have worked, but it did apparently, and he damaged him. And then he got out, and then the other renegade guys, they came in and save him, and they kill all the evil soldier guys. And then he like, we're free. I killed the evil Steven Seagal controller guy. Not controller, director guy. But then it's revealed that that wasn't Steven Seagal. That was Steven Seagal's twin brother, who has the same haircut, who has the same beard, who wears the same clothes. And he like walks him. He's like, brother, I appreciate everything you've done for me. I appreciate what you've done for my life and your life, you know, and, you know, we live in honor, and we die in honor. You know, he just kind of was, like, going on and on and on, and then he kills him. He kills himself. So even when Steven Seagal dies in a movie, he doesn't actually die. The ego on this man to not even be able to have himself die in a movie as the bad guy. No, he has to have a twin brother that just comes out of fucking nowhere and just is never talked about or even hinted at all. That the entire movie, the ego on this man, to just have, oh no, that wasn't me. That was just my twin brother who's not as good as me. So clearly I'm still better than the good guy, than the protagonist. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, Steven. Like, you can't even, I swear to God, the reason he died in executive decision because he had no creative control whatsoever. None at all. He was an executive producer for this film, and I guarantee he had some creative pull. I guarantee he did. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. Because he writes most of his own movies. I'm just going on a tangent. But anyway, yeah. It's just fucking ridiculous. So really what Steven is insinuating here is that the only guy tough enough to kill Steven Seagal is Steven Seagal. Like, what the fuck? And, yeah, overall, this film is just not good. Very much not good. Again, it's not the worst I've ever seen, but it's definitely not good. So, yeah, would I recommend this film? No. No, not really. Unless you're a die-hard Steven Seagal fan, even though he's only in 5 scenes, so maybe even then you won't get that much enjoyment out of it. But yeah, no, definitely wouldn't recommend it. And real movie rating, it's like a 3. Steven Seagal rating, again, it's not the worst, it's not the best, so I give it like a 5.5. It's not awful, but it's definitely nothing that much to write home about. And ironic enjoyment, I mean, you can get a little ironic enjoyment, but not too much, so like 4.5, I guess. So let's do this real quick. Real movie rating, 3. Steven Seagal, 5.5, and, you know, ironic enjoyment, 4.5. And, yeah. I think that's all I need to say. Think of something peace. So guys, hope you all like this video. Share with friends, subscribe, turn notifications on, comment below how much you all liked it. And as always, I'm Time HD, and this has been Quick Quips. With Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal. I don't know. There's, Steven Seagal. Quick Quips with Steven Seagal. Fucking. What do you want me to say?